Um, you you mentioned earlier about the like skirts getting caught in wheelchairs and how you've, designed solutions to address that. What other kinds of like uh fit and fashion and like clothing problems have you like seen people run into a lot that you've worked to address?
A super common request that I get is that I have a lot of clients with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which makes it so that your body just doesn't produce the whatever the correct quote unquote type of collagen. So it can make it so that your skin is very stretchy, but maybe also will get torn easier. Like yeah,
Mhm.
irritated easier. It also makes it so that sometimes yeah, people are hypermobile or like their joints will dislocate very easily. So I have a lot of requests from folks to make chest binders that are I have this less tight bind fit, which is good for folks with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because their ribs can pop out and dislocate very easily. So, yeah, so I make a lot of stuff for that. And also, everything that I make can be made with the seams on the outside for sensory sensitivities, which is also good for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but it is also good for autistic spectrum folks, good for people like me who are, I mean, I have a lot of autistic spectrum uh, runs in my family. So I think maybe I have a tiny bit of some things from that. So I have like a pretty intense sensory sensitivities, which is maybe the main reason why I started Rebirth is that clothing hurt me too much as a kid. And I was always like, just like I'd be in class and I'd be like, ugh, clothing is like I'm going nuts because like I always had to wear like my underwear inside out as a kid and my socks inside out as a kid. I would call seams bones because I was like and I'd be like the bones are hurting me, mom. And like shoes were unbearable, like so many seams inside of shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, now I've been able to find ones that aren't. I mean, well, now I buy shoes that are good for your feet, whereas before we didn't really have money, so we were just getting shoes from Payless. Which also my mom like couldn't even go into those stores because she's allergic to the vinyl off-gassing smell because we both have fragrance and um, like environmental illness, but she's more sensitive to that type, and I'm more sensitive to other types. So she just like throw me into the store as like a 5-year-old, and then I'd have to pick out shoes. But sometimes I wouldn't pick out the best ones because I'd just be like, I just want to get out of here. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. There's like seams hurting skin is and like you called them bones, and I
yeah,
love it because they're like it feels hard.
yeah.
They are hard. They are like on you. They're like rubbing up against you. I
And it's like the bones of the garment.
They are absolutely, yeah. It's like what is holding everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that I'm so happy that you're like addressing that in your work because it's so important, and it's something that I feel like in almost all fashion that gets made is like not really thought about.
Yeah,
um and I feel like so much so much good could be done in the world by like putting more thought and care into like just how clothes feel.
for sure.
Like I for play out, something that's like super important for us is making sure that the clothes feel good on your skin.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, it should be the main thing for all clothing
yeah,
lines.
yeah, like the making sure that like the fabric feels soft and like feels good on your skin is like so important for us. Um,
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because like my clothing, I can actually handle the seams of my clothing because it's really soft, and I'm just like, what was the deal with the other, like, what thread were they using, or like what, I don't even
Yeah.
understand because I just use like the whatever, like some random thread. I
Mhm.
just get thread from Wawak or whatever. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, just like normal serger thread, but it's like fine compared to the stuff from when I was a kid. And, oh my gosh, I would be in dance class and I remember I had this beautiful like holographic heart that was like sewn on to a unitard, but like I could feel the seams so much that I would just
Yeah.
be like freaking out in flamenco class, being like, I can't focus because this
Yeah,
heart is like hurting me so much.
absolutely. Yeah. I what so we've talked a little bit about the types of bodies that the fashion industry designs and markets for, and then how that's like such a small portion of the population. Um, but I feel like even for people who like are cis het thin able-bodied people, there are still all of these other like fit issues that everyone has to deal with just because the way the fashion industry works, a lot of the time the clothes aren't really the thought process that goes into
Yeah,
designing doesn't always include like
humans.
working with actual bodies.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I mean, so much of it is it's just like designed for the mannequin, and the mannequin is just like a whatever, like a smoothed out, like
uh,
idealized version of what a human body could be like. But like, yeah, no mannequin is actually the shape of a human because
yeah.
they like round them out more like evenly, but
Mhm.
then it's like so tiny and just like weird. Yeah, so totally. And like, I mean, a lot of big box brands, I mean, I know I've heard from people who've worked with like Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive and stuff like that, they didn't even really try on a lot of the clothing until they did I know this is like insider knowledge or whatever, but like they didn't try on a lot of the things until they were doing the photo shoot, but then you know, a lot of adaptive brands, they love to just put a bunch of magnets and things. And they're like, it's adaptive, but it's like magnets are really fussy sometimes. And like I bought some stuff from Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive when my dad was dying because he needed some like business casual clothing, and I
Mhm.
am not going to make business casual clothing. Which is why there needs to just be more clothing lines to do all these things so that I can focus on the style that I want and I don't have to be asked to make a casual clothing.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes, sorry, I'm going on tangents, but
No worries. Tangents are great.
sometimes because people think that because I make clothing for all these types of folks, then people think that I must make every single style possible
Mhm.
that you could ever need. But I'm like, no, I make undergarments, I make swimwear, I make activewear, I make anything in spandex because I love spandex, but like I refuse to make things out of woven fabrics except for face masks. I'll do it for
Mhm.
face masks. But like I hate sewing woven fabrics so much. Like brings me no joy whatsoever. So I'm like, no, I get to have my own focus on what I'm doing.
Yes, you
And
do. This is why we need variety. This is why we
exactly,
need like a whole bunch of fashion companies that are like, yeah, having different styles for a wide variety of bodies and humans.
totally. And that's why I get so excited whenever like sometimes people are like, aren't you mad that this company is now doing this? I'm like, why would I be mad? We just need more of it. Like I'm always swamped with work. Like, and I mean, I'll probably just always be swamped with work, but like yeah, we just need more and more. And like, I'm so excited. And I'm especially so excited whenever an independent or a small designer or like, yeah, like when you contacted me about your work, I was like, this is so awesome. And like getting to see how you've progressed in the past couple of years since yeah, you emailed me right after my
Mhm.
dad passed away about doing an internship. And at the time I had like no money because
Mhm.
I had to take off so much time from when my dad was dying. But yeah, like I just have been so excited to see how much you have flourished and how much education work you've been doing is like really amazing to me. Um,
I love the education.
I mean, yeah, same. I love it. But like, yeah, back to the tummy Hilfiger adaptive. So it's like
Mhm.
half of the magnets that my on the pants that I got for my dad like were sewn in wrong. So like, magnets, if they're sewn in wrong, then they're trying to polarize away from each other. So
Yeah.
it's like totally not doing the right thing. But like, yeah, I heard that at the photo shoots that they were like just like trying to safety pin stuff together because the things weren't really working very well.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, why didn't they test these more on people before they went into huge production?
This is why it's important to work with actual humans on bodies that test garments. Yeah. Yeah, especially if they're like designing for a specific need, you
Yeah.
know? Like seriously. Yeah. I this is reminding me a little bit about this project that I did when I was in college. There was I was creating a gender-free sizing system.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was so excited about it. And I so the class that I was in, it was we did two projects every semester. So like each project was like half a semester long.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was like working on this like gender-free sizing system and like the collection for it and everything for like half a semester. And I remember the week before the critique when we had like 1 week to like finish up our presentation. Um, professor, my professor was telling me about how actually I can't do a gender sizing system because the fashion industry doesn't work like that. And
Fuck
like,
that.
no big factory would accommodate me. And so I had to like scrap my whole project and come up with a brand new idea.
What is your professor's problem?
It made me so angry. It made me so angry. But these like these systems that exist in the fashion industry are so ingrained and so
Oh.
like deeply rooted into the industry that even
The
for like
professors just love to perpetuate it. They're just like,
yeah,
we love it. I'm like,
even for like a school project that wasn't actually going to be produced, I was being like policed and corrected for like thinking outside of the box beyond what the industry is doing
I
right now.
mean, same.
Um,
Ooh,
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, and I want. I'm so happy that there are companies now that are making changes, um,
totally.
like what you do and like play out. Um,
I mean,
I,
I'm a very small company.
I mean, yeah, but like I feel like the small companies are the ones that are doing the most positive change to the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I just mean like I
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows what like I mean, I see my effect pretty well on like other small designers and some like slightly bigger designers, but who knows what the effect will be bigger. But like yeah, at some point I've been talking to my friend Lindsay Whittle, who's actually right here above me.
Oh,
Oh,
lovely.
wearing some of my clothing.
Yeah.
Um like I've been wanting to make like a like pattern making book that's yeah, not not gendered.
Mhm.
And well, also specifically about pattern making stretch, because there's not really that much stuff about pattern making stretch, and everybody's always terrified of it, even though it's like that's what I love. I hate non-stretch clothing and pattern making for non-stretch clothing. I'm like, this is terrible. This will like only fit this one person, and it'll be like, ugh.
Yeah. Can you
They-
can you say
they-
more about stretch fabric fitting a like wider range of bodies?
Yeah, I mean, I love stretch because it allows so much more for fluctuation of bodies. I mean, even though I'm making clothing specific to people's measurements, it'll still fit a huge range of people. Because like I've made a lot of clothing for my models for performances, and sometimes models have get the clothing afterwards, but sometimes there's just a lot of extra clothing, but
Mhm.
then I'll use those for future performances, and then people will try them on. And I mean, it might look different. I mean, it should always look different, because it's like your body is kind of building the structure of what the stretch clothing is. Because I mean, yeah, that's the nice thing about stretch clothing. It's like it's just like a little pile of mush, and then you like put it on your body, and you're like, ooh. Whereas like woven clothing, it's like I'm a stiff thing, and then you're gonna try to squeeze into this, and then you're like, I'm in this clothing now. So like, yeah, I love stretch, and yeah, for me personally, I mean, yeah, to people who don't know me, I don't think it's as obvious, but or like don't know me in real life, but like in because I have this undiagnosed stomach disorder, and then plus I've had mono since December 2019. So trigger warning, like weight fluctuation. So because of my sometimes inability to eat because of my stomach disorder, and then mono was making it so that sometimes food tasted like poison, which is really weird. Like it made everything taste rancid, which I knew it wasn't because other people were eating it and they were like, it tastes fine.
Yeah.
But like that combination is very not a very fun combination to have, mono and a stomach disorder. So I kept on bouncing back and forth. 15 pounds. I would lose 15 pounds and be a skeleton. And but like, yeah, having clothing that can fit me all the times, even when that happens, is like really nice. And trigger
Yeah,
warning.
absolutely. Yeah, and that is so important because that like there are so many people who have fluctuating body shapes and
I
sizes.
mean, we all do,
Yeah, we
technically.
all do. We absolutely all do. Yeah. And to have clothing that like changes with you as you change is so important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I feel like so many clothing lines make waistbands way too tight, even in stretch clothing. And I'm like, a waistband doesn't have to be that tight. Like, I
Yeah.
just use a piece of folded over spandex.
Oh,
Like
nice.
I'm wearing these shorts, and they stretch like so much. But like I like having it the like loosest I can possibly have it for my stomach disorder, just so that
Yeah.
nothing's ever irritating it. And that's I like have to wear clothing like that, because if it's tighter at all, I'll just feel so sick, and I'll be like, oh, like nauseous all
Yeah.
time.
The waistband just has to be tight enough to hold up the garment. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
all. Doesn't have to be any tighter than that.
yeah.
Well,
It's
that is
always like excessively tight, and you're like, oh, no.
yeah, that's something that I have also struggled with in clothing is the waistbands being so tight
Yeah.
because I my when I was a kid I would only wear uh elastic waist pants um because I like to be comfortable. And then I went through this phase where I like also wore jeans, and now I'm back to the like only comfy pants.
I mean, yeah, same. And
um,
I think a lot of people in the pandemic are like
yeah,
realizing their comfort is important.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.